Tom's, welcome to our very first episode of On the Couch. Our first guest is arriving right now. I can hear him on his way. Let's go and greet him and bring him to the couch. Welcome to On the Couch. We're here with Michael Cox. Michael, give us a 30-second rundown of who are you?
I'm married to Joy. We've got 3 children, James, Catherine and Rebecca. I've been working at Nepean Hospital as a general surgeon for 26 years, coming to Tom's for 10 and a member of God Squad for 9.
Mate, God Squad is what I wanted to talk to you about today. You're a bikie?
Yep.
So, but there's bikies and there's bikies. Are you like a bikie? Like the one percenters, all the ones we hear in the news, or are you a different type of bikie?
From a bike riding point of view, exactly the same, or very similar, if not exactly the same, as the 1% scene. Part of that is so that we're accepted by them. God Squad's been going for 50 years next year. And the whole idea being to spread the gospel into that scene. To be accepted and respected in that scene, you need to fit into it. So the bikes we ride, the gear we wear, and to a certain extent how you become a member and the process of becoming a member, but also the other things of accountability does follow the 1% scene to a certain extent, but with some very clear differences as well.
One of the big reasons why God Squad exists is to minister, reach out to the 1% bike clubs.
And people on the fringe. So it's not just the club, the people in the clubs. A lot of people that are associated with the clubs also live on the fringe of our community for various reasons without necessarily being members, as well as to other people within the bike scene, although that's not as main a focus as the 1% scene, but it's still an important part.
So how do you connect with these different groups?
Well, for me it's really walking on, I'm riding on the shoulders of those before us. So early on in the piece, so God Squad Sydney restart was in existence in the early 70s, folded around about 75, 76, re-established in 95, and it was really through the hard work of 4 or 5 guys then, just going to bike shows, meeting people and developing respect and good relationships that then the new guys, or relatively new guys like me, built upon that or worked on that. So the good relationships and the respect for the club already existed. So as new people come in, provided they're well trained and taught and behave appropriately, equally well accepted. But not all clubs are accepting of us.
Right. So you go to
don't.
So you go to like parties at.
Yeah. So you get invited. Some clubhouses and some clubs we have an open invitation to, and that's again been built over many years. I mean, some of these guys have known other people in squad for 20, 25, 30 years. Other open events, so some clubs that would never invite us, we don't, specific invitations to a specific event. That might be a ride, it might be a bike show. Then the other events that we do fairly often will be funerals and weddings, occasionally, very rarely baptisms, but occasionally there will be a dedication, newborn baby and a dedication for them.
So there's a God awareness even in that scene, and they'll often come to you for those big moments.
it ranges enormously in terms of experience, but some of the guys have grown up in the Catholic Church and have a very good understanding of Catholic theology through their going to Catholic schools. Quite a number of the guys grow up in Christian families and will have parents that are, not a lot, but there's guys that have got parents or siblings that are Christians. A lot of them actually know a fair bit. There are some, different ones that are on a journey and they just haven't made a critical step yet.
Yeah.
And some of the issues are around forgiveness, certainly, which can become a difficulty for them. They would make the step, but if I do that, I have to forgive that guy.
So it's a world with a lot of anger and bitterness and hurt.
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys are very normal guys. Some of them, the club is their family.
Yeah.
They come from, their back, when you sort of get down to their backgrounds, they've had difficult childhoods, parents that separated, foster care, whatever. And so the club actually, in many ways, becomes their family and that looks out for them. And despite what the press would say, the club actually is a good social environment. And actually, some of the clubs are particularly good at looking out for some of the people that are within them, and they know so and so's got a problem with this, or so and so's now drinking a litre bottle of whiskey a day, and we'll even bring that to our attention, although it's usually pretty obvious. But we'll seek help for that. So although they're not, there are some things, the violence, the attitudes towards women that can be very different. But sometimes the mateship and the attitude to self, to the members, is often quite respectful.
So some great strengths as well as some...
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel I have never really felt uncomfortable in their presence. The guys that I know particularly well are my friends, and I would trust them. There's some other clubs and other people that you are wary of, and sometimes that's because some key members in that particular chapter or club have had a bad experience. There's certainly one bunch of guys that I know that I've had discussions with. They think all Christians are pedophiles, and that's because of experiences that they've had personally when they were children. And so you can understand.
Yeah, totally.
And it's a big hurdle to get over.
Yeah. And, one of the all-important questions, what bike do you ride?
Well, I actually ride three. So the first bike I got back into was a 96 Fat Boy, which is an older style Harley, older style engine called an Evo engine. Then, about 2012, I bought the Wide Glide, which was a 2010 model. It's a little bit more torquey and a faster bike. Then I was thinking of getting another one, but Joy and I went to the States. Knew I'd be riding, Joy didn't expect to ride. And one of the people that was hanging around at the time owned a bike shop and actually led us to tours. And she really enjoyed it. And so I was thinking of getting a third bike. And I said, well, why don't we get a granny? And so now she'll come on rides with me on that.
Well, Michael, thank you for joining us on the couch. It's been great to have you with us and hear a bit more about God Squad. Thank you. It's now time for question time on the couch. We've had a couple of questions come in. One came in through the e-news last week. The question was, why is God male and not female? the question said, I understand his father, but is there an answer in the Bible that goes deeper than that? Now, often a question like this has a series of sub-questions that follow, and it's much better to talk through in person. But let me give you a few starting points to keep in mind as we think about the truth of God being our Father in heaven. First of all, God is not male as people are male or female. Second, male and female, God created us, and he created us in his image, both male and female. Thirdly, God reveals himself as a male in the person of Jesus, the Son. Fourth, this doesn't make males superior or above women in any way. Fifth, Father is a term that Jesus, the Son of God, particularly uses as he describes how he relates to the first person of the Trinity, God the Father. Six, Father and Son, like husband and wife, are relational terms. Point 7, men, us who are fathers, need to consider the character of God the Father as we think about how we love, serve and care for our families, particularly our children. And finally, we all need to remember that God's also described as comforting his children, never forgetting them and nursing them as a mother does her children. That doesn't make God female, he makes himself known as Father. Yet the characteristics of both mother and father can be seen in the nature of God. Now, we also had a second question come in. It's to do with Luke and the 5 R's from the reading on day 2 on Tuesday. The question was, how do we read Mary's song well? Mary's song is that passage in Luke chapter 1 from verse 46 to 53. And the question asked, is it talking about God the Father or the Lord Jesus? And how does it apply to us this side of the cross? It's a great question. I'm really glad that you're getting to Luke and the 5 R's. Mary is singing about God's salvation and her inclusion in this great work. She's just been visited by the angels. Mary is singing with God's Old Testament promises in mind. The main theme of the song is God's power to rescue and raise the humble and to tear down the proud and the arrogant. The last part of the question is an important one for us as we read Luke and as we read any of the Gospels. It's actually a discussion we had at the dinner table where we're doing Luke and the 5 R's. We think of the New Testament being to us now as Christians, yet almost all of the Gospels are before Christ dies and rises again, meaning the Gospels are the promises of God being fulfilled, yet not already fulfilled. So what does this mean for applying Mary's song? Well, we recognise that the fulfilment of God's Old Testament promises are in Jesus, that it's through him that God's mercy extends from generation to generation, ultimately that Mary sings about. And so this side of the cross, we can sing with even more certainty and clarity of how mindful God has been, not just to Mary, but to all who humbly accept his word and his salvation, by which we get to call Jesus my Saviour. It's a great question. Keep working hard with your Luke and the 5 R's. If you've got questions, please send them through to us. We'd love to answer them on the couch or in person next week. If you've got other questions, flick us an email and we can be answering those on the couch next week. Now we're going to go and take On the Couch on the road and go and visit one of our Jordan Springs members, find out about their couch and ask them a couple of questions. G'day everyone, On the Couch is on the move. We're here at the Smith's house with Dig and Rochelle, and they've just got home. Rochelle's going to take us in and we're going to check out her favourite couch in the house. Tell us about your couch, Rochelle. Why is this your favourite couch?
This is our wonderful blue couch, and it's just so lovely. You can recline, you can relax, watch TV. It's great.
Now, Rochelle, you're a good driver. We've got lots of young viewers out there. You had some issues when you started driving. Do you want to tell us about one of those fun incidents?
Sure. When I was learning to drive, my dad and I first went out in the car, and we were driving out Castlereagh, Tadmore Road, driving the car, learning how to drive, and one time I was like, okay, you can drive home. This time you're going to drive home into Cranebrook and you're ready to go. I was like, okay, so I was driving home, coming up to Mum and Dad's street, I did so well, and there was a chicane, and I was so terrified of the chicane. I said, Dad, I can't do it, I can't go through the chicane, I really, really can't. I was freaking out, and he's like, it's okay, just go slow, and you can go through. I got through safely, and I made it through.
Oh, that wasn't what I was thinking you were going to tell me about.
I didn't want to share that story.
We tried to catch her off guard. Rochelle, thanks for having on your couch. Well, that brings us to the end of our first episode of On the Couch. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to finish and go out tonight with a song from Josh Vincent. He's in the studio and he's got a song for us to wrap up the night. We look forward to seeing you next week, 8:30 on the couch.
Think about the that is to go, spending so much time planning, hoping, and worry about the things that this day may bring. If only I could see all I need. You are the one who provides all I need. You've given everything to me. I do not need to worry about this day. You are the one who provides all I need. Money is the thing I often think about, and how I can provide the things I need in life. So many restless nights thinking of these things, when all I need is trust. All I need. You are the one who provides all I need. Your grace, you've given everything to me. I do not need to worry about this day, 'cause you are the one who provides all I need. There are many times I've seen all you've done. The things I need the most fall like my fate. I know it wasn't me who made this come to pass. It was you, oh Lord. All I need. You are the one who provides all I need. Your grace, you've given everything to me. I do not need to worry about this day, 'cause you are the one who provides all I need. You are the one who's gonna provide. This is all I need. Seek you first, 'cause you are the one who's given life to me. You are the one who provides all I need. In your grace you've given everything to me. I do not need to worry about this day, 'cause you are the one, all I need. You are the one who